Have you ever wondered what's behind those garden gates? Well, let us take a look at private gardens tucked away behind the fence and walls, far from prying eyes. Today, we will fling the gates open and take you behind the garden gates. Well, today we're at the home of Georgia and Jackson, and Georgia is our gardener. She invited us in today to look at her garden, and she does a mixture of vegetable and flowers. So before we look at the garden, let's just have a quick chat with Georgia. Okay, Georgia, how long have you lived here?
Goodness, we have been at this house since 2018.
Oh,
so
pretty
almost
much
3 years.
3 years. Good. And how long have you been gardening?
About a year now. I grew up with my family had a beautiful large garden. I had no interest in it as a kid. And then last year during COVID-19, when we were all quarantined, I picked up a new hobby, and my mom helped me along the way. She taught me everything that she knew as I was growing up, and then reminded me of the things I didn't remember.
Oh, awesome. So you'd say that gardening during COVID would be your therapy?
Oh yeah, definitely. Much needed too.
Okay, good. Okay, so we'll just walk and you can explain your gardening style and all that.
So I love to grow what I would usually buy at a grocery store. I like the saying, grow what you eat and eat what you grow.
Okay.
So I always try to go for things that I can reuse in multiple ways, whether I eat them fresh off the vine, put them in, a canning like a salsa or a tomato sauce. And then I always mix in some flowers so that I can help attract pollinators, which will then help make my fruit nice and large.
And that's always a good way of gardening, mixing your herbs, your flowers with your vegetables.
Yeah.
Because we know, especially like the marigold here, it'll attract the good bugs, so you can eat all the bad bugs, the aphids and other mites that may eat our vegetables. So the flowers we have here, that's what, petunia?
So that is a climbing petunia, which
Climbing
has now
petunia.
spilled over. It climbed a little bit and then it fell. And then we've got a nasturtium, which under this Georgia heat that we've had in the past week, it's looking a little sad. But nasturtiums are really great bug attractors away from all of your other vegetables. So that slugs love nasturtiums, aphids love them, but it's okay that they love them. You plant them as a trap crop, and they work really well. These are some giant zinnia mix from Pine Tree Garden Seeds, and I absolutely love them. They got really large, they look beautiful in bouquets, and they attract so many bees and butterflies. I actually have pictures from a swallowtail that was hanging out earlier today. So I absolutely love the zinnias. And the fun thing is I didn't know what color they would be. It was a mix. So it was a mystery until they started blooming.
So a lot of surprise colors here.
Yeah, and the ones that look like they're dead on purpose. So I'm letting them dry out on the flower or on the plant so that I can harvest the seeds and then replant them next year.
So for next
and
year
give them
you'll
to
have
friends.
seeds.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. And all these zinnias, and most of these you said came from seed.
Yes, they did. I grew everything from seed for the first time this year, which was new for me, and really exciting, really rewarding.
Okay. And on this side we have some dahlias.
Yep, so we've got some dahlias. I need to trim them back so that they can rebloom. Obviously those have died, and then my hope is I'll be able to grab the tubers underground and replant them next year to hopefully get the same plants again. This one was beautiful when it was in full bloom. It was nice and orange and yellow and really bright and beautiful.
Okay, and as we look here, we see you have some tomatoes. Your tomatoes are lovely, and you have them in bags to protect them.
I do.
So what's the idea behind that one?
Yeah, so I have a small issue with some hornworms, some chipmunks, squirrels, anything that you could think could grab your tomatoes. They've been grabbing mine. So I put them in these organza bags that I grabbed off of Amazon, and it helps protect them from anything that would normally eat them. Normally I would have everything in bags, like obviously this one didn't get one because I ran out. It got more blooms than I expected. But yeah, the bags I highly recommend that technique. It's worked really well for me this year.
Okay, let's walk inside.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
some big
yeah,
peppers.
on this side we've got a variety of bell peppers in here, another nasturtium to help with those bugs. And you can actually see a nasturtium in bloom right here. Nasturtiums are really cool because the entire plant is also edible. So the leaves, the flowers, they have like a little peppery taste to them. So nasturtiums I highly recommend you add some nasturtiums to any garden that you may grow. But yeah, the rest of everything here are some bell peppers. We've got some that are close to turning to their ripe color right here, and then we've got a cute little purple one right back in
I've
there
never seen
too.
a purple bell pepper. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you say that nasturtium is a good companion plant for your vegetables?
Oh yeah, nasturtiums are good for any vegetable as a companion.
Okay, and right beside it, more marigold.
Yeah, this is another marigold, and then actually between it, we've got a watermelon that I'm just kind of letting go wild. In the bag right there is that first little watermelon that's popped up. So trying to protect that from any ground critters that may get in here and try to eat it before I get a chance.
Okay, and I noticed that right over here, you have some cups on your pepper. Is that preventing what, slugs?
So it prevents a variety of things. That's my first year doing the cups, and essentially what I was experiencing was I lost a couple of plants to, it was either chipmunks or something got in here and would eat the plants at the base. And so I decided to put some solo cups down there to try and protect the base from anything that would come in and get to it. And once I installed those, I didn't have another issue.
All right, so using cups at the base of your peppers and other plants will actually prevent slugs, bugs, and other vermins from climbing up and eating.
Cutworms are known to be a big issue with cutting at the base as well. They kind of wrap around the base and snap a plant in half. So they're also supposed to prevent against that as well.
Okay. Plants are looking real good.
Thank you.
Oh man, that was a big sunflower.
Oh, it was.
It has gone through the seasons now.
Yeah, the squirrels got to it before I could get any blooms, but I'm leaving them because they do still have a couple of small ones on there, and the bees love them. So I'm trying to give the bees as long as a pollinating season as I can. So. And
as long as you have the dry heads, the birds will still come in.
Exactly. So they may be unsightly, but they do serve a purpose.
Okay, and on your trellis here, what do we have here?
So these are two different varieties of cucumbers. Up until yesterday, I actually had green beans on this side, but they reached the end of their season, and I wanted to give the cucumbers a chance to take over the entire arch. So yeah, we've got green apple cucumbers on the front right here, and then lemon cucumbers on the back. And this is actually holding up my arch because this is made from leftover fencing that we had. It's not meant to be an arch, it's really weak. So we modified and we put a stabilizer in there for us. I do have a couple of cucumbers that have come up. So there's a baby green apple one right there.
Oh, awesome.
And the green apples they'll get to be about the size of your Honeycrisp or a large Gala apple. And they taste just like a cucumber. They have more juice because they become round instead of long and skinny. And then back here is a lemon cucumber that's coming in. So same thing, more round instead of long and skinny, but a little bit of a mix from what I've heard of a cucumber and a lemon. So not too lemony, but apparently a really good flavor. I've never grown these varieties before, so I'm excited to see how they taste.
It's an experiment in the garden.
Yeah.
Yes, and as we go on with the garden, we'll grow new things, we'll try new plants. And then what works, we keep doing it. What doesn't work, we throw that out and try something else.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Lots of tomatoes. Lots of tomatoes.
Yeah, I went a little wild with the tomatoes this year.
So for your tomatoes, do you do any amendment of your soil? Pretty sure you started with clay soil, right?
Yeah, so I started with clay, and when we dug this entire area out, this used to be like a wooded tree area. We purchased soil from a company called Soil 3. They deliver soil in what they call the big yellow bag. They deliver in a couple of the southeastern states, I believe Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and there may be a fourth one that I'm forgetting.
Okay.
But we used them because it was the exact perfect amount that we needed at an affordable price. And then I fertilize throughout the year. So whenever all of my plants were seedlings, I used fish emulsion fertilizer.
Fish emulsion.
Smells awful, but works great.
It works good.
And then after that, I switched to a fertilizer that a company was nice enough to send me to test out this year. And as you can tell, it worked pretty well.
Yes, it worked.
Yeah, and that company was called Humane Organics, and they let me try their all-purpose fertilizer for my garden this year.
Okay, that's awesome. When you started gardening, especially right here, did you design all of this out before coming in, or it is a dig as you go kind of method?
So I did design to the best that I could. I used Google Sheets actually, and I created a square foot footprint based on the dimensions of what we had cleared out and dug out. And so I used Google Sheets to create the rows and then determine where I wanted each vegetable based on companion planting, the sun. I did try my best to measure the sunlight that it would get.
Awesome.
I just do that by coming out at different times during the day and taking a picture of the area and then going back and looking at what areas had full sun and which ones didn't. So yeah, Google Sheets and then pictures of the sunlight.
Okay, and we know that with your vegetable planting, can you get this bug right here, babe? Can you see?
Yeah, that one's actually not a
ladybug?
friendly one. So that's
not a ladybug.
That is an Asian lady beetle. Very similar to a ladybug, but you'll be able to see the difference based on the shape of their head and then the color. So that one's orange. You can have orange ladybugs, but if you find a ladybug on a cucumber plant, odds are it's going to be an Asian lady beetle, and they cause damage like this actually. So they like to eat your leaves. So if you see some of your cucumber leaves being eaten, this is a good example right here too. That's the type of damage that they'll do.
Okay.
So I'll come back and grab that one later. I don't want to kill a bug on camera.
Okay, good. What would you say your gardening style is? Do you have a gardening style?
I don't know, honestly. That's a question that stumped me. Fun, I guess.
Fun?
I like to
Fun
have
garden.
fun. I like to eat whatever I grow and make sure that I'm growing something that brings me joy.
Okay, well that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. Well, thank you so much, Georgia.
You're welcome.
For showing us your garden today. Lots of beautiful vegetables, and for this you use flowers as a companion plant for your herbs and herbs for your vegetables.
Yeah.
And that's always a good way to garden. You want to attract all the good bugs to eat or pretty much drive away the bad bugs. That way you don't have to use a whole lot of pesticides.
Yeah.
So it's a more humane and organic way of gardening.
It is. I do my best to be organic in whatever ways I can.
Okay, and we know you're on Instagram. If anybody want to follow on Instagram, where should they go?
So I'm on Instagram as Garden with Georgia. Please follow me. I just started my Instagram page this year, and I have a lot of fun with sharing updates on the garden, making funny reels. So yeah, Garden with Georgia.
Okay, Garden with Georgia on Instagram. And any other? You're not on YouTube yet?
I haven't expanded to any other channels yet. Hopefully one year. I'm going to learn from you.
Okay.
You follow My Therapy Garden.
Yes.
Okay, so you follow My Therapy Garden.
Oh, I do.
And
I followed My Therapy Garden before I even started a garden. So.
Okay, good. So we have a testimony here from one of the subscribers from my therapy garden, and she have a really beautiful garden. Again, if you like this garden, please subscribe on Instagram, Gardening with Georgia. Gardening with Georgia on Instagram. Before we go, let's look at her compost bin.
So this is our underground composter. It's called a sub pod. They are a company based out of, I believe, Australia, but they also sell in the United States. And it's a vermicomposter, so you use worms, and it sits underground, so that you do not have to worry about the smell. You don't have to worry about attracting rodents that you don't want. It gives you directions for how to feed, how much to feed, and what not to feed. So yeah, you start with about, I think, 2,500 worms are what's in here. And then you add your vegetables, your carbon, and then you mix it. And then whenever you're ready to harvest, you stop feeding one side and continue feeding the other. Your worms will migrate through the holes in the middle, and then you're able to harvest your compost out of that side and add it to your garden.
Okay, so a compost bin that is buried. That is awesome. So you wouldn't have all that smell, the odor and all that from there.
Yeah.
Do you use anything else? So what do you put in the compost bin? Or what should we put in the compost bin?
So I use any of my vegetable scraps. So we eat a lot of bell peppers, we eat apples, coffee grounds. I drink coffee every morning. Eggshells whenever we, eat our eggs in the mornings. Any of your vegetable scraps you can put in here. But you also want to make sure that you balance out with carbon, and you can find carbon through paper towels, your paper egg cartons. My husband brings home shredded paper from work to help me out. And then we also shred up any of our cardboard boxes that we may not need to repurpose, and we add those in here as well.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
To a self-sufficient garden. Today is our first look at behind the garden gates, and we just look at the vegetable garden of Georgia and Jackson. Beautiful garden. You like what you see? Please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when new videos are posted. Questions or comment, please drop a line down below. Again, you can follow Georgia, Gardening with Georgia, Gardening with Georgia on Instagram. This is the first of our installment of Behind the Garden Gates. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. God bless. Bye-bye now.